Canada is quietly building new partnerships that are opening big opportunities around the world. At the same time, the United States could be watching an important advantage slip away. What Canada is doing behind the scenes may reshape the balance between these longtime neighbors. Germany and Canada signed a formal agreement deepening cooperation on critical minerals, supply chains, covering mining investment, refining technology, processing partnerships, and battery material. The agreement was not a diplomatic framework document. It was a commercial and industrial alignment designed to redirect a portion of Canada's mineral output toward German automotive and defense industries at a moment when Germany had identified critical mineral supply security as a core national economic priority. That agreement was one node in a network that now includes the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Japan, South Korea, and the European Union, all of them building structured access to the same Canadian minerals that the American defense industrial base has historically treated as a reliable backstop for its own supply chain requirements. Canada's critical minerals portfolio covers the full spectrum of inputs that modern defense and industrial manufacturing requires. Lithium for battery systems in electric, military vehicles, submarines, and portable power units. Nickel for jet engine alloys, naval vessel hulls, and battery cathodes. Cobalt for turbine blade coatings and battery chemistry. Graphite for nuclear reactor moderators and battery anodes. Gallium and germanium, both restricted by China in 2023 for semiconductors, radar systems, night vision equipment, and 5G telecommunications infrastructure. Copper for electronics across every platform category. Tungsten for armor-piercing projectiles and cutting tools. Rare earth elements for permanent magnets in missile guidance systems. Fighter aircraft control surfaces, and electric motor drives in ships and vehicles. Every one of these materials appears on both Canada's critical minerals list and the American list of strategic materials whose supply security the Department of Defense has flagged as requiring urgent attention. Germany's industrial engagement with Canada's mineral sector predates the August 2025 intergovernmental agreement by several months in its commercial form. TKMS ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems, Germany's largest naval shipbuilder and one of the two competing bidders for Canada's $60 to $120 billion Canadian Patrol submarine project, has pursued engagement with Canadian critical minerals projects as part of its broader industrial benefit strategy for Canada. E3 Lithium, an Alberta-based lithium company developing direct lithium extraction technology from the province's oil field brines, has been connected to discussions involving German industrial partners seeking Canadian lithium for automotive and defense battery applications. Direct lithium extraction produces battery-grade lithium from brine formations without the environmental footprint of conventional hard rock or evaporation pond mining, a technology profile that German buyers with strict sustainability sourcing requirements find specifically attractive. Italy's Leonardo, one of Europe's 3 largest aerospace and defense companies by revenue, signed an agreement with Canada. In June 2026, covering jet trainer aircraft and defense industrial cooperation. That agreement sits alongside the broader Canada-Italy bilateral framework, in which Italian industrial investment in Canadian defense manufacturing and supply chains is being used as an economic benefit commitment tied to Italian defense procurement proposals. Leonardo's presence in the Canada critical mineral story runs through the same channel. European defense companies are integrating Canadian mineral sourcing into their industrial offset commitments because doing so aligns with both the Canadian government's industrial strategy and the European Union's own critical minerals framework, which requires member state supply chains to reduce Chinese processing dependence by 2030. The EU's Critical Raw Materials Act, which took effect in 2024, sets binding targets. By 2030, the EU must source at least 10% of its annual consumption of strategic minerals domestically, process at least 40% domestically, and not source more than 65% of any single strategic mineral from 1/3 country. Canada is positioned as a primary supplier partner for the EU's non-domestic sourcing, target politically stable, technically advanced, geographically accessible via Atlantic shipping routes, and operating under environmental and labor standards compatible with European procurement requirements. The Canada-EU Strategic Partnership of the Future, advanced through Ireland's EU Council presidency beginning July 2026, includes critical minerals, supply chain cooperation as one of its defined cooperation categories. The United Kingdom signed a critical minerals partnership with Canada in 2023 and has been expanding its commercial engagement under that framework through 2025 and 2026. British defense companies, including Before Anyone Else Systems, which is the prime contractor on Canada's $1.75 billion over-the-horizon radar deal, announced June 22nd, 2026 maintained supply chain interests in Canadian mineral-intensive components for radar, electronic warfare, and naval systems. France has engaged Canada through the SAFE Initiative's Defense Industrial Framework and through separate bilateral discussions on nuclear fuel supply, where Canada's uranium position in Saskatchewan is directly relevant to France's fleet of 57 nuclear reactors, the largest national nuclear fleet in the G7, and its plans to build 14 additional reactors by 2050. Japan's relationship with Canadian critical minerals is the most commercially advanced in the Indo-Pacific. The Nouveau Monde graphite Matawinie mine in Quebec, the G7's largest graphite facility, holds an off-take agreement with Panasonic for battery-grade graphite supply. Japan and Canada are in active discussions on joint critical minerals stockpiling, confirmed in June 2026. South Korea's Hanwha Group, which is competing for Canada's submarine contract and has signed industrial cooperation agreements with Algoma Steel and the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association, is building Canadian supply chain relationships that embed South Korean industrial demand into Canadian mineral and steel production simultaneously. The American defense supply chain's dependence on Canadian critical minerals is documented in the U.S. Department of Defense's own assessment. The 2022 National Defense Industrial Strategy and subsequent executive orders on critical mineral supply chains specifically identified Canada as a key allied source for minerals whose domestic American production insufficient to meet defense manufacturing demand. Gallium restricted by China in July 2023 is produced as a byproduct of aluminum refining in Quebec by Rio Tinto, whose AP60 smelter expansion commenced operations in May 2026. Germanium is co-produced at Canadian zinc smelting operations. Both are on the DoD critical minerals list. Both are produced in Canada. Neither is subject to a formal long-term U.S. government offtake agreement comparable to the European industrial partnerships that have been building since 2023. The competitive dynamic this creates is not a transfer of Canadian minerals away from the United States. Canada's production base is growing. The BHP Jansen potash mine is operational. The Matawinie graphite mine is under construction. The Ring of Fire development corridor is advancing through federal approval processes, and new lithium projects in Quebec, Ontario, and BC are moving toward production. The total volume of Canadian critical mineral output is expanding. The question the European Partnership Network poses for the American defense supply chain is whether the growth in Canadian mineral production will be absorbed by the long-term offtake agreements and joint ventures that European partners are signing now before American defense procurement agencies have established equivalent structured relationships with Canadian producers. The U.S. Canada Defense Production Sharing Agreement, the Defense Industrial Base Cooperation Agreement, and NORAD's Continental Defense Framework provide institutional channels for American defense mineral sourcing from Canada. But institutional frameworks and commercially binding offtake agreements are different instruments. A government framework agreement does not guarantee that a specific Canadian mining company's production is allocated to American buyers at fixed prices over a 20-year horizon. A commercial offtake agreement with a German automotive company does.